Hi, lovelies. I am Dr. Pepe, a medical student of the prestigious University of Ibadan, and also the founder of Dr. Pepe Explains, a platform where I talk about the challenges and struggles that most youth face and how they can certainly overcome them and become the better version of themselves. And this is the first episode where I'll be talking about how I was able to score 89 over 100 in my UI Post-UTME. So if this looks like what you've been looking for, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can get videos like this at first hand. So before I start, firstly, I will be talking about some common misconception that people used to have about UI Post-UTME, that UI Post-UTME is the toughest Post-UTME that you can ever write. But actually, it is true for some people and it's not true for some people. You know why? Because one thing is that if you don't have much information about UI Post-UTME, you might think it's hard actually. But if you have people that you can ask questions, people that can guide you and mentor you about the UI Post-UTME, definitely you'll be able to perform very well in the UI Post-UTME. So like I've said, I'm going to be taking you through the processes that I followed that made me to have 89 over 100 in my UI Post-UTME. So make sure you stay tuned. So the first thing I did was that I make sure that I studied the way UI sets their questions, the topics that come out and the likes. And the thing is that in a space of 60 minutes, you are going to be attempting 25 questions per subject. And they always say these questions in a Roman numeral format, which most times it always occupies about 80% of the questions that you are going to be seeing. But over the time, as you study past questions, as you read things that are related to UI questions, you'll be able to familiarize yourself with this mode of setting questions. So the second thing I did was that I make sure that I started preparing very early for the Post-UTME. When it was about 2 months to the Post-UTME, I started preparing. One thing about preparing early is that it helps you to familiarize yourself with things that are certainly going to be coming out in your Post-UTME compared to someone that just started reading when it's about 1 week to Post-UTME and this person is a freshman to UI Post-UTME. Definitely people like that will feel because you don't know how they set their questions, you don't know what will come out, you just start reading when it's about 1 week. So one advice for you is that make sure that you prepare very early so that you can familiarize yourself with things that are going to be coming out in your UI Post-UTME. So the third thing that I did was that I made sure that I studied relevant topics that are definitely going to be coming out in the UI Post-UTME. One mistake that most people make is that whenever they want to prepare for an exam like UI Post-UTME, they just study any topics that they get their hands on. So don't make that mistake. One way to get out of this trap is that you get a past question, check out those topics that used to come out every year in the past question, then write them out and use it as a study guide for preparing for your UI Post-UTME. But if you don't know how to find your way into this, don't worry, I created a mentorship program where I will be sharing a curated document that contains all the topics that are going to be coming out in the UI Post-UTME. So make sure you register very early so that you can get access to the mentorship program. So the first thing that I did was that I make sure that I used past question. Like I really used past question. When it was about 2 weeks to my UI Post-UTME, I started using past question very well. Like even the things that I could not understand, I started cramming it. Unfortunately, on my Post-UTME there, I saw about 80% of my question from some of the past questions that I used. So past questions stood out for me, but I will not be mentioning them in this video. So if you need any recommendation of a past question to use, just message the number that I will be displaying in this video so that I can recommend some past questions for you. So another factor that I put in place when I was preparing for my position was God. Like I really prayed a lot. I prayed at exactly 8 p.m. every night. I make sure that I prayed about my position. I prayed to God because one thing is that you might think you've prepared and the time that you might be scheduled for your position, that time I not pay you. So it's one thing to study very well. It's another thing to fall into a time that favors you. For instance, now, assuming I was not fixed to a time that has past question when I was doing my positioning, I might not see any past question and I might not get up to 89. So one thing is that make sure you pray. Make sure you pray that God should give you times that fits you, time that fits everything you've read, that once you see a question, you'll be able to just pick the right answer. Just pick. So make sure you pray very well for God's direction, for right time for your UI Post-UTME. So in conclusion, make sure you start preparing very early for your Post-UTME. Aim very high because one thing about aiming very high is that, let's take for instance now, you want to score 98 in your UI Post-UTME and probably that might be the highest score in the UI Post-UTME. So let's say you want to score 98 and you are performing mock. Let's say you did a particular mock today and you are getting something like 78. Definitely you know that you are far away from your fixed point. So make sure you aim very high in the UI Post-UTME. So anytime you perform a mock and you see that the score is different from what you are aiming for, you should know that you should put a lot of effort towards the Post-UTME. Make sure you start preparing very early, use the right study materials, study the right topics, and with all of these points, I am very, very certain that you are going to do well in your UI Post-UTME. So I'm wishing you a best of luck in your upcoming UI 2026 Post-UTME. Thank you very much for watching to the end. Bye bye, and make sure you subscribe.